Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for making the time to attend this college prep information session. Just before I start, I want to give a quick disclaimer. Para los que hablan español, esta junta se va a dar en inglés y esta información se va a dar en inglés, pero si tienen cualquier duda o pregunta sobre el contenido o más bien una duda general, vamos a abrir o vamos a tener bastante tiempo al final para preguntas, entonces quédense hasta el final, por favor, y ahí pueden preguntar lo que quieran, si es pregunta del contenido o pregunta del proceso de aplicaciones, lo que sea.
Perfect. Thank you, Ricky. And from there, we're going to begin our college prep informational session. I just want to have a brief overview to mention what's going to be included in this meeting and what we will be going over. So first, we're going to have introductions. We'll have brief introductions of myself, Ricky, and Kai, or Ricardo and Kai. Then we're going to explain why we started this college prep program and particularly why we're targeting Laredo. Then we'll proceed by talking about why college prep is essential, followed by challenges that students face. Then towards the end of the meeting, we're going to talk about what makes our program particularly different, as well as the pricing and the program details, which includes what we're going to be mentioning, or what the programs contain, including the different meetings. Lastly, we're going to mention how the cohort's going to operate logistically and operationally. And at the end, we'll have any questions. Feel free to send questions in the chat as we go through, so that way you don't forget any questions you might have, but we're going to answer them until the very end. Or as well, at the end of the meeting, you can also unmute your mic and raise any questions you might have. So now we're going to begin with our introductions.
Oh, hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo Ahumada de la Torre. And a little bit about me. I actually graduated from high school here in Laredo as valedictorian from Alexander High School. So can everyone hear me okay? I think there's a bit of lag, but a bit about what I've done so far in college. My freshman year, I studied abroad in France. I've done medical mission work in Central America, specifically Costa Rica. I've also been able to help the community out a little bit here in Laredo by working for the Yale admissions office and going to high schools and presenting students information about the college application process. And I also founded a club at Yale that sponsors medical mission trips, which I attended the next 2 years of my college journey, as you will see in the next few slides. My sophomore year in college, during the summer, I did research in Houston at the Texas Medical Center, specifically at Baylor College of Medicine. I also did medical mission work with the club I did found at Yale in Peru this time. And I also joined a team that is a startup company that is preventing Alzheimer's disease using artificial intelligence and technologies that are a little bit alternative to conventional medicine. Finally, the last year that I was in college, during the summer, I did neuroimmunology research at the Yale School of Medicine at a prestigious lab called Hafler Lab. I also continued to do medical mission work in Peru during my spring break. And finally, I joined the board of various organizations on campus, including ones called SUBE and another one called Black Gen Capital.
Great. My name is Adrian Barajas. I also graduated from John B. Alexander High School in 2022, alongside Ricardo. And I proceeded to attend Texas A&M University, where I graduated in 2 years with a 4.0 GPA, majoring in public health, which is a bachelor's of science. Currently, right now, I'm a second-year law student at Texas A&M University School of Law, which is located in Fort Worth, Texas. A little bit about my first year of undergrad, which was half of my time being there because I was only there 2 years. I took many classes and credits in order to graduate really quickly. I took as many as 27 hours per semester. I also joined various student organizations throughout campus, including Texas A&M Global Outreach, the Pre-Medical Society, the 12th Man Foundation Collegiate Council, and various others. Through Texas A&M Global Health Outreach, I was able to deliver medical mission work in Guatemala, which is what the picture is picturing here, where I helped translate and also take various vitals. And then between my first and second year of undergrad, I also studied abroad in Germany with the School of Public Health program, where we learned about emergency preparedness throughout Europe and how it compares to the American counterparts. During my second year of undergrad, within the same organizations that I was a part of, I was promoted to serve as officers within them, including vice president, social coordinator, and a few others. I also studied abroad in London with the School of Public Health again. And I also did medical mission work with Texas A&M Global Health Outreach again, but this time in Argentina. And finally, right now that I'm in law school during my first year, I just started my second year actually this week. But during my first year, I attended Texas A&M University. So we just transitioned to being number 22 in the country, number two in Texas. I've done really well academically, which has helped land a lot of summer jobs, as well as serving within the school on two law journals that publish publications, which we review both spelling, grammar, and that type of thing, but as well as more technical things like citations and proposition checks. I also serve on different student organizations like the Latino X student organization, the Federalist Society, and a few others. And I also won the 1L mock trial competition.
Good afternoon, parents and students. Thank you guys for joining. I am Kayo Anan, and I recently graduated as salutatorian of the John B. Alexander High School class of 2025, and I am currently attending Rice University to study biosciences with a concentration in biochemistry and a minor in kinesiology. I am pursuing the pre-med track here. So during high school, I did a couple of things to build up a resume in order to apply for competitive colleges. So I served as vice president of the National Honor Society chapter at John B. Alexander. I also participated on the varsity tennis and varsity swimming teams throughout my 4 years. I managed to luckily score a 1570 on the SAT. I also co-founded a 501c nonprofit organization called Laredo First Sports Fund, which basically donates clothes throughout Laredo to clubs such as the Boys and Girls Club and the Webb County Sheriff's Office. I also took 11 AP exams and managed to pass all of them and was also enrolled in the dual credit program at John B. Alexander. I also conducted some research at the UT Health in San Antonio, which was an amazing experience where I got to work alongside researchers from Yale and Harvard, as well as collaborate with master's and PhD students. So those are some of the accolades and accomplishments that I managed to go through during high school, and it's what I used to become a competitive applicant.
So many of you are probably asking why we are doing this, why specifically Laredo, or why we're targeting Laredo. Just a quick disclaimer, we're not limited to only students from Laredo. We accept students from anywhere. But we are based in Laredo and we all graduated in Laredo, so that is why we are focusing or targeting Laredo. So first and foremost, we believe that Laredo students deserve more access to top universities. We feel like there is a lot of untapped potential here in Laredo, and a lot of students don't have the mindset or the vision to seek farther outside of Texas sometimes. And these schools are very attainable, and what we are planning to do is hopefully open up those doors and help them dream bigger and dream farther. Many families also unfortunately face the challenge of navigating admissions alone, especially in Laredo, because a lot of people aren't very familiar with the college application process here in the United States. It is very different from Mexico or anywhere else in the world. So we are hoping to be able to not only, teach the student, but also teach the parents and any other family members or siblings how this process works and make it feel a little bit less intimidating to them. Again, by doing that, we also want to help these students reach their dream schools and potentially get to these amazing universities such as Ivy League universities where maybe they didn't believe they can get there, but with proper discipline and training, they can actually get there. And that in turn strengthens our community and puts more eyes on Laredo to allow more students in the future to get to these schools. And finally, opening doors today creates more opportunities for tomorrow. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to interact with. People in this program specifically, the students that you'll be working with, that will also be trying to get to these schools are students who are actively trying to better themselves and get to higher places. So these are connections and networking opportunities that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And these are connections that hopefully will last you not just during high school, but beyond once you're in college and even when you're working. And who knows, maybe through a person you meet in this cohort you can actually secure a job opportunity in the future.
So now a little bit on why college prep is essential. College prep is essential for a multitude of reasons. The first and probably most important reason is that it helps you stay ahead and to stand out. Sorry. Through a college prep program, you'll be able to both develop your application and submit the best possible application that you can with your circumstances. So you'll be able to craft the best essay, the best resume, and craft them and really put in the time and effort that those things deserve so that you can get those amazing opportunities like Ricardo mentioned. It also helps you stay ahead in a way because you also start taking action on your future since the first day, right? And the earlier you start building those skills and habits that truly matter, the more prepared you'll be to when it comes time to be applying for university. It'll also help you navigate the admissions process a lot easier and a lot better because you will have been, navigating and developing all of these different skills and habits, as well as also creating your essays and resumes with plenty of time. You also gain lots of confidence because you know that you have been putting in the work and that you are crafting a solid application. It also showcases your true strengths because a lot of what college prep really is showcasing your story and framing your story in the best possible light to these universities and creating that narrative that truly explains who you are. Admissions processes nowadays also include what's known as a holistic review. So it's not merely just your grades and academics, especially for these top schools. You need to be able to show your character and why you really want to attend these different schools and illustrate this through a story through all of your different accomplishments and what you are as a person. A college prep program also lets you build a plan, which entails starting earlier and also setting schedules to make sure that you're not crafting these essays a few days before they're due and truly give them the time and diligence that they deserve. And lastly, if you spend time and actually do all of these different college prep lessons, then you are very likely to be reaching your dream schools. So that is the whole purpose of why doing college prep is essential, because you give yourself your best chances at going to the dream universities and dream schools that you really want to go to.
So, what are some of the challenges that students, especially in Laredo, might face? So, I myself, I was fortunate enough to have people around me who gave me that vision that I could do more and go to and try to apply for better colleges. And in my experience, I've had countless friends who have the academics, who have the extracurriculars, who have the drive to go far. And of course, they're at fantastic colleges now, but many of them didn't even attempt to apply to some of those top colleges. And I feel like the importance of our program is to offer that guidance and that mentorship that can help your child look further than some schools and even further into the top 20 schools, which is fantastic for their future. So there's a lot of there's some misinformation and lack of knowledge on the opportunities offered in college and why the top 20 colleges is important. And us, we are here to inform and mentor your child so they understand the importance and why applying to and attempting to at least get into a great school is important for their future. Additionally, time management is one of the biggest problems that I faced throughout my high school career. I understand that your children might have extracurriculars, they might be in sports, they might be in clubs, as long as maintaining their academics. So when applications finally do roll around senior year, they're very overloaded. So my senior year, I actually had to quit one of my sports in order to manage applications. And our program is here for you so that your student can start earlier. So they won't have to give up the things that they love in order to get into a top school. So balancing academics, applications, and sports is one of the biggest priorities that we have in our program. Additionally, students in Laredo may have limited resources. As I mentioned earlier, there are fantastic students, extremely smart, extremely hardworking. They just don't have the vision or the mentorship around them to push them even further. And that's what we're here for.
So, what makes us different from maybe other people that are trying to offer the same thing is that we're actually just students. We know we're not labeled as a professional who does this as a full-time job, but rather we are people who just recently went through the process and know, the more modern version or the more recent trends and applications as in terms of how we got in. So we're able to offer our personal stories to be able to help your child or the students that are attending this meeting to be able to have the highest chance of success in the current application cycle trends. Um, we also have a lot of different perspectives, diversities. We come from different backgrounds. Kai had a variety of sports in his background. I personally didn't have that many sports in the background. I'm interested in medicine like Kai, but for example, Adrian is interested in law. So we have different routes and we know the different, paths. And sometimes even building these career paths in high school can be very essential and very important once you get into college. It helps set the mindset and the priorities straight, and you'll be able to tailor your college experience to be able to succeed later in life. We also want students to develop, drive, and take ownership of their future. We want them to be able to have that initiative to be able to do things on their own. We're here to help, we're here to guide them, we're here to mentor them. But at the end of the day, it ultimately lands on the student's hands to be able to fully succeed and fully become independent in this manner. Because, for example, I can speak for myself. Once I started applying to medical school now, I really didn't have anyone that I can look up to that's been in medicine. So I kind of had to do the research myself. I had to find the sources that I could to be able to create my essays, create my narrative, which is actually a very similar process as the college application process. So again, building these habits now will can potentially be extremely beneficial in the future. And once again, we went through this process recently, specifically Kai, who just did this last year. So we know what you need and we know what it feels like.
Yeah, I just
And
wanted
we're
to
here to
add
help.
off of what Rick was saying. I recently went through the college admissions process last year, and I had to navigate all of this by myself. There's things such as early decision, early action, regular decision, figuring out how you want your Common App to look, creating a narrative, creating a story. And all three of us, having gone through this process ourselves, we understand the challenges that students might face, and we made our mistakes and we learn from them. And that's why we're here. We want to teach you guys what the right way is so you guys don't have to waste any time on making mistakes.
So now for the important stuff, what our program actually entails and the pricing. So we offer 3 or 4 different programs. I'm going to start with these three first. We offer 3 different programs priced at $650 for freshmen, $750 for sophomores, and $850 for juniors. These are all 3 different cohorts or 3 different groups that will be done virtually, primarily because we're all in university, we're all at different places geographically. So we wouldn't be able to host these sessions in person. But to get started with our freshman program, each one of these numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are 4 different meetings that will all be 2 hours long that will be hosted bi-semesterly, which means that we'll have 2 in the fall, so September, November, and then 2 in the spring, which will be February and April. The first meeting that we'll have with freshmen will be course selection strategy, which includes everything about when to take classes, which classes to take, and how to take them. The second one will be the high school wake-up call, which entails emphasizing to students the importance of high school and that they are in high school and that they're basically setting themselves up for their future career and successes since freshman year. So that's like a very important thing that students need to be aware about. And sometimes hearing it from parents or siblings is not enough, or they're like, yeah, dad, I understand what you mean. But hearing it from other peers and colleagues such as ourselves, they might take it more seriously and also understand all the benefits that come from taking it seriously as a freshman. The third meeting will be interest exploration, and the fourth one will be extracurricular development. So those 2 are pretty much starting to develop their narrative, like we talked about, which is very important because, like Kai mentioned, having good grades and being involved in things is not all that you need to get into top universities. You need to be able to mold and find a way to correlate all these things together to have a great narrative that you can pitch yourself to these universities when you're applying. Our sophomore program will start with an SAT and PSAT workshop, which will provide them with all the resources they need to excel in the SAT. The second meeting will be a career roadmap where we'll start basically finding ways or helping the students find out what career they want so that they can start finding adequate universities for what they're looking for. The third one will be a leadership project that they'll do between their sophomore and junior year during the summer, or it can even be during the Christmas break so that they can have some sort of leadership experience that will tie into their narrative and also help bolster their resume. And lastly will be a college list workshop, which will be when they make their list of the colleges they want to be applying to, which will be with our help and guidance, of course, to see where these students should be applying, both in-state, out-of-state, depending on the student's goals and needs. And lastly, our junior program will include an essay and resume workshop. These two workshops will be to teach the students how to craft an essay, how to craft a resume, and what it is that they're looking for and how to actually draft your own. And um, as well as basically providing them with feedback that won't be necessarily during the meeting. It's actually going to be afterwards. That way the students can actually have time to go and really think about what is their narrative, what is it they're trying to put down, and then we'll get back to them once they have their essay drafted, and we'll provide them with feedback on things that they should be correcting, whether that be substantive content or just grammar, spelling, and everything else in between. And the last two meetings for the juniors will be a scholarship exploration and the actual application portal. So these kind of go hand in hand to basically find out the best universities to be applying to and how to actually apply to them, whether that be Apply Texas, Common App, or both, or more, or other sources, as well as how to navigate the scholarship things. We also offer additional one-on-one consultations, which can be with any of the mentors, which are priced at $120 an hour. However, in order to have these one-on-one meetings, we do ask that you are enrolled into one of these cohort programs because we think that these cohorts are actually completely comprehensive, but these one-on-ones would just be for students who need that additional help and additional time with a particular mentor. And lastly, our senior program, which is the one that I alluded to earlier, is essentially the junior program, but expedited. We're going to have all 4 meetings within this semester because the application portal has already opened for seniors, but we're just offering this package in case there's still any seniors that are still navigating the application process and might want to have an essay and resume workshop and our reviews of those essays and resumes so that they can have the best possible application for their current cycle. So basically, this is basically the junior program, but will be offered in 1 semester. And will basically be very condensed so that the student can be able to apply within this cycle.
So how will the cohorts work? Communication will be through GroupMe and email, and Adrian, Ricardo, or I will answer within 24 hours. And just to add, we'll be communicating through GroupMe and email also as a way to educate students on how to communicate efficiently and professionally. Once students get to college, the majority of messages and communication will be either through email or through GroupMe. So familiarizing your child with these apps and platforms is especially important once you actually do get into college. And then we will be having 2-hour meetings 4 times throughout the year. So that'll be twice per semester, as Adrian mentioned before. And throughout these meetings, we'll comprehensively dive into what these students need and we'll guide them. And if students have any questions, they can contact us afterwards, however much they want, so that they can stay informed throughout the entire process.
I just like to mention one more thing of why we also think that it's great for students to be communicating via GroupMe and email is because that way they actually practice, like I mentioned, to use GroupMe and email. That will be an abundant skill that they use in the future, but also for them to start building the skills of being proactive about their education, because many times people are willing to help you, but if you don't go out of your way to go and ask people for help by sending an email or sending a GroupMe message, then nobody knows that you're in need. So this is a good way to start developing those skills at a young age.
And finally, just to close off, we're here to help you all. This process may seem intimidating, but this meeting is not meant to scare anyone, but rather encourage you guys to seek help because we're here to offer help. Seek and you shall find. And our motto is where discipline meets mastery, growth is inevitable. We really are trying to not only help your child or the students reach their goals and get to these high places and prestigious universities, but rather also build these habits such as discipline. And that way, moving forward, their growth will just be inevitable and they will be able to succeed in the future beyond college and beyond their careers, whether it be personal relationships or, again, careers or even any external aspirations they might have. And now we are going to open up the floor for any questions anyone might have. Para los que hablan español, si tienen cualquier duda o cualquier pregunta sobre el contenido o el proceso en general o quieren más información, por favor, no tengan miedo de preguntar. aquí estamos para ayudarles.
And you can put the questions in the chat or unmute your mic, whatever works best, both in Spanish o en español también está bien.
I will add one piece of information. It was a question that was asked in the previous session, and that is someone was asking if they could have the slideshow presentation we just presented to you all. So if anyone wants the slideshows, you're more than happy to get it sent to you. Just make sure to reach out so we can email it to you properly. And also one more thing, I will be sending a link in the chat for a form that you can sign. And this is for those of you that are interested in actually having your child or the students to join this cohort. You need to put your information in here, and that way we're able to contact you with the proper invoice. So again, this form isn't a it doesn't cost to sign the form, but make sure to sign it if you're genuinely interested. That way we can reach out to you with the invoice and with more information later on how to join these messaging softwares and have, your child in one of these groups.
I see that there's a question for seniors. How will the sessions work since applications are already open and deadlines are coming up? Like we mentioned, the senior program will be condensed, but at the same time, we need to maintain a balance where the students still have enough time to actually go and, ponder about their narrative and actually start drafting the essay. I know myself, sometimes it takes me a few days to even come up with the idea and maybe a day or two to actually put my ideas and thoughts into paper. So because of that, we're gonna space them out, the meetings either basically bi-weekly. Some of them can be back to back, like the application portal and the scholarship exploration one, but definitely the resume and essay workshop, we're going to space them out enough to basically allow the students to have enough time to actually go in there and spend adequate time fulfilling their essay and resume components, which then they'll submit to us, which that will actually get back to them with feedback, and then they'll go back and we'll maintain the process until they have a pristine piece of work.
Hola, no me acuerdo si mencionaron sobre el pago, los pagos del programa. Se pueden hacer uno solo o varios, ¿verdad? Ahí van a tener un payment plan, lo van a poner, si estuvimos interesados, nos mandan un link y ahí nos mandan información.
Sí, con el link que pusimos ahorita en el Google Form, ahí se pueden registrar y luego nosotros vamos a enviar a ustedes por email donde pueden pagar. Y si ustedes necesitan un payment plan, el payment plan se puede hacer y sería el 1 de septiembre, 1 de octubre y 1 de noviembre sería cuando sería el pago. Entonces serían
Okay.
3 diferentes pagos.
Sí, lo va a dividir en 3 pagos. Ok.
Sí, serían 3 pagos, sí.
Ajá, y la primera junta sería en septiembre, pero todavía no tienen una fecha específica.
Sí, exacto, sí serían en septiembre. Ahorita lo que estamos trabajando son ahorita ya las fechas para ya luego ponerlas, pero serían empezando en septiembre, serían las
Ok,
juntas.
ok, muy bien, gracias.
Sí. Estamos
Y
planeando en tener la junta el primer fin de semana de septiembre, que sería creo que el 6 o 7 de septiembre, pero queremos, ya que tengamos los alumnos, queremos verificar cuál día se les facilita más para que todos puedan ir a la junta. Entonces no tenemos la fecha exacta, pero sí queremos hacer hacer esa junta a principios de septiembre.
Ok, gracias.
sí, y la otra pregunta de cuántos serían los pagos serían divididos entre tres, depende de qué tipo de programa están. So, si están en el de freshman o sophomore junior, la cantidad nomás dividida entre tres y el pago sería el primero de cada mes, sería septiembre primero, octubre primero y noviembre primero. And I see that there's another question. If my daughter's a freshman, would that mean that over the span of 4 years, each different cohort would be compounding, meaning accumulating, or would the cost be reduced for sophomore, junior, and seniors? Discounted rates apply in the program for over 4 years. Since this is our first year, we still haven't actually made that bundle, but I'm very sure that that is something that we're going to consider and being one of our students throughout the 4 years. So it's very likely that we will have discounted rates for the students that continue. Of course, it won't be half off or anything like that, but it will be a discounted rate just because of the time that it's going to take us to go in there and review all the different essays for juniors and resumes, as well as all of the prep time that we need to create our slides and provide this service for the community.
Um, I don't know if Kai, you want to take that. I do know that there's a grace period to tweak classes, but I don't know if you want to give more details on the question that just got asked about the possibility of tweaking classes in the fall.
Yeah, so in my experience with my counselor, she was extremely lenient with switching classes. I'm not 100% sure on the policy that they have depending on what counselor you have, but we can totally give you guys suggestions and you guys can bring them to your counselors, and there is a probability that they can still change their classes. But as for freshmen, I would say you're at the period where the classes that you're taking won't have a huge impact, although there is some impact. It's more important that the freshmen understand how important it is to already get into studying habits and making sure that they have fantastic GPAs. I know a ton of the people in my grade, at least, could have been at the top of their class had it not been for their freshman year grades when they didn't really understand the importance of doing well in their classes.
Yeah, and I think I just want to add on to that, that as Kai said, as a incoming freshman, there isn't many classes you can actually change, I believe. For example, the part of the course building class that we're going to offer is trying to open up their eyes to the different weighted classes that are offered in their school. And these include, AP classes, magnet program classes, and early college classes. And usually these classes are not offered for freshmen. So we can, of course, answer any questions she might have as to how she can maybe tweak her schedule. But I do know that there definitely is a limited availability of these classes that are usually offered for sophomores and beyond.
Yeah, I would say that the general advice for now would just be for her to sign up for a weighted class for this first semester. But like they all mentioned, there's not much variety that they can actually choose from this first semester. So it wouldn't be much of an impact so long as, like I said, she's taking a pre-AP English 1 or pre-AP Algebra 1 or Geometry, whatever she might be in. That is like the best piece of advice we can give right now. And of course, if you happen to click on the link and enroll already, and you send us any emails, we'll get back to you as soon as we can to answer any of those questions.
I see
And
a
I see that there's
question in the
also
chat
another question. Yeah.
about deciding between the various paths. And it's great that you have that question because this is a problem that a lot of us have definitely encountered. And it plays a really big role in your college application because, as I said before, you want to create a story, a narrative to push to the colleges. And depending on what grade your daughter is in, each grade you have, I guess, a bit less of time in order to really figure out what you want to do, which is completely fine, which is completely fine. I myself, oh, she's a sophomore. That's great. You have tons of time to figure out what you want to do. Actually, as a sophomore, we recommend that freshman year, we recommend that they really explore into a lot of the clubs and figure out what they like. And now that she's a sophomore, she can really dive deeper, go into depth into these clubs, figure out what she's really interested in. But yes, we will definitely help her out, figure out what she wants to do. We'll be mentors because we have gone through the same path before. We understand what it's like to be torn between multiple different passions, but it's no worries. Like she still has a lot of time to figure out what she's interested, and we'll help her figure out what she enjoys and thereby create a college application that reflects that.
And there's just one thing I'd like to mention. That's why I moved this slide to this slide as well. The career roadmap, that is essentially what that meeting will be about, making sure that they know what it is they want in their career. And we also have different worksheets that can help them decide or even consider different careers at that point, so that they have the basically the most informed information of how different careers look like, especially if they don't have any family that's within that career, so that they can make the best decision that they can with the most amount of knowledge and information provided to them. So that is definitely something that we'll do. And if your daughter's a sophomore, then she's had a great start to be doing that.
And I will say one thing that I believe is a concern some people sometimes have when it comes to career choices. And it's that, oh, do I have to decide now as a 16 or 17-year-old what I will be doing for the rest of my life? And the answer is no. What we want to do is give them, the guidance and, start catering their story and narrative, as we said, to be able to have a comprehensive and cohesive story to submit to these colleges. But I also know many people that once they get to college, they actually end up changing their mind as to their career path, and that is totally okay and totally doable. So don't feel that we're trying to force your child to essentially choose a career path for the rest of their life. This is again for the purposes of college applications. And of course, if we are able to help them discern this decision at a young age, then that is amazing. But if they end up changing their mind in the future, that is not a worry as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Our goal is just to support these students, help them figure out what they enjoy, and not to stifle any of their ambitions. And I'm at Rice College, Rice University now, and so many students are torn in between majors even now. And the benefit of getting into one of these top colleges is they offer so much support. They offer so many programs, so many classes where students can figure out what they really want. So that's a huge benefit to getting into one of these top colleges as well.
I'll say at this point that the meeting's officially over, but if you guys have any other questions, we're going to be sticking around for. If you want to unmute or have any other questions, both English or Spanish, we'll stick around. But thank you everybody for joining, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.
And we hope to see you as part of the cohort. For those that are still here, do you have any last questions? So, si hablan español, si tienen algunas preguntas, por favor pregunten, pero la junta oficialmente ya se acabó.